Hi bestie, how's it going? I've been avoiding doing this for quite a while. I've got something to share, well, a couple things to share with you today that I've really been putting off talking to you about because it's embarrassing and it's just embarrassing. It's not something that I'm comfortable talking about, but I kind of feel like it just needs to be done. So we will get into that, but I'll first just ease myself in a little bit. It's currently Saturday for me, so it's Saturday the 31st of May. Tomorrow is launch day for the summertime collection. I'm really excited about that. And I'm currently sat on my bed. Simon is snoozing. Gracie is in the garden having a snooze in the sun. I've just finished my park run for Saturday. It's a 5K thing. I think I've told you about it before. And I beat my PB. Every time I go, I beat my PB. And last week, I finally got it under 30 minutes. And today it was 29 and a half minutes. So I'm really working on like pacing and stuff like that. So I'm feeling really, really accomplished. But I got home and I was like, I'm going to be really productive today. I'm going to do so much stuff. I had a shower and then I fell asleep on my bed in my towels. I woke up dry as a bone with an afro of hair. So I've just walked down to the shop and bought some rolls and had some lunch. And I've had lunch really late, about 2:30. But yeah. The other thing I wanted to do with you, because I said what I wanted to do is, leave comments on these videos on Patreon and I will sort of respond to them in the video for the following one. And we didn't get very many comments on the last one, which is absolutely fine. You guys have got busy lives. I completely understand. So thank you to Charity. Charity said, really enjoyed watching you pack and listening to your updates. Thanks, Ira. And thank you for replying. But not to say this is the best comment, but we got a really, really good one from Kath Goodwin. So I'm going to read it out to you. It says, I think having sneak peeks and previews. Oh, yeah, by the way, last video I was talking about a couple of things. So I did an update on my tattoo journey. And I was talking about how nervous I was about my 10K run and a bit of honesty about sales, how I'm feeling about stuff like that and stuff like that. But I also spoke about why I decided to open up these videos beyond Patreon. I was like, I hope you guys don't mind it. I just I think it's nice to share these videos with people who can't necessarily afford it. So Kath Goodwin, our bestie, says, I think having sneak peeks and previews and you trying something different like this too is a fun thing to have as a patron. And I don't think you need to wait 4 weeks. I think a week would be plenty of time, maybe even less. If a patron has not had time to see this in the first 3 or 4 days in a week, so be it. As a patron, I want to see you succeed and get the most back from your time making content. So maybe time to rename these as a patron previews or whatever term suits better than exclusive. I would never have thought I would enjoy following the life of someone on the other side of the world that seems at first so different from me, but over time I see we have so much in common underneath our labels. So proud of how far you have come in your whole life journey, and just a couple of years I've been seeing it. As far as cash stuffing, I really enjoy those, but it's like herding cats, getting us to turn up at different times all over the world. I think all these things, you are probably better to change the Patreon level wording to say it will be random and sometimes we get more and other times not as much. And I've just thought that was just the reply that I wanted to hear. First of all, Patreon preview, that is terrific. What an incredible name. I've always gone, Patreon exclusive. There still can be Patreon exclusive, but when money's good and I can afford to lose £200 from the budget, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's good. And I really like that. And I think they are 100% right in terms of it's like herding cats to try and get you all to come to a Saturday cash stuffing. It is like herding cats completely, because we'd have like 10 people arrive, something like that, but then it would get watched like 200 times afterwards. Like there's never a good time to do it because you're all over the world. So yeah, I think I think that's absolutely spot on. So I think in honor of Kath, we are going to rename these as Patreon previews. But I will keep the 4 weeks because there's like 4 weeks worth of content uploaded onto Don't Trust Ira anyway. So that's all good. So yeah, I need to cough, sorry. So yeah, and I completely get it about the, I never thought I'd enjoy following the life of someone on the other side of the world that seems so different as me, because there's a load of people I follow on YouTube that are completely different to me, but in terms of values and beliefs, it's all similar. So, it's just lovely how people come in different packages and stuff like that. So yeah, I think, that's lovely. So get commenting on this video, share your thoughts about what I'm about to talk about, and we'll talk about it in the next video. So I want to talk to you about something that is very, very personal to me. I've never necessarily spoke about this before because for me it's quite embarrassing, and it's a bigger deal than I have ever let on. So I want to talk to you about it's hard to get it out. I want to talk to you about my weight and how I feel about my body and myself. So if you've followed me for a while, you will probably understand or know I get very, very cagey and almost a bit defensive, but I try not to be, when people mention my weight or weight loss or anything like that. I have tried in the past to say that Budget with Ira is not the place to do that, because it's about the budget and it's about our community of budgeters getting out of debt, saving up and stuff like that. So that's always been a good sort of out. On Don't Trust Ira, when people have sort of broached the subject, not the project, I've kind of just segued around it, and I've tried to just not talk about it. And I've always said, I like being a bigger person. I don't necessarily want to lose weight, and I don't want to talk about it because it makes me uncomfortable. While the uncomfortable part is true, that I like my body and I like being big is a huge lie. And it's a big lie, yeah? And I know that I don't have to justify myself to you, but I open up so much of my life to you, and so much of my personal life is changing quite rapidly at the moment, just because of how I feel about myself, and in a really, really good way. I'm feeling better about myself, so I'm being a lot more open, and I kind of want to share this with you because you guys are very, very important to me. So I just want to, touch on my life as a fat person and what it looks like now that, obviously I am losing weight. So I'll talk to you about how, why, what, all of that stuff, right? So I have always been, I'm part of a big family, right? So I have 6 brothers. I'm the 6th in the line of 7. And the 5 brothers above me are considerably older than me. It doesn't feel as much older now that we're all old. But when I was 8, to have an 18-year-old brother was just absolutely wild. That's a big brother. Do you know what I mean? So most of them had left home by the time I was a teenager. So the love and affection that was shared among 7 people was now being forced onto 2 people. So we were really spoiled and really treated. And part of that was that, I just became quite big as a kid, and I really, really enjoyed my food. My mum that's still hard to say, my mum's was from Yorkshire, so even in the heart of summer we'd be getting stews and Yorkshire puddings and stuff like that. It was pretty normal to have very hearty food all the time, and I was always a bigger kid, and I've been very exercise adverse, nature adverse, just being outside adverse, because pollen and the sun, it just does something to my skin. I'm like, sorry, I burped. I'm one of those people. Like, me and Jake were like polar opposites in terms of what weather was like. The sun was like recharging his batteries. For me, it was like I may as well have been covered. Like, it was like being stifled. It was, it's like being in a really hot cave or something. It was just horrible. Like, you can't escape it. I do not enjoy being hot. I do not enjoy being outside. Anyway. So I've always been a big kid. And I remember at primary school where, like, they were talking about obesity in children a lot. We all got weighed, and I don't know why, but I remember being weighed. I remember the person who weighed me did that tutting thing, and I was like, oh, I've done something wrong. Because I was just a normal kid, you know what I mean? Yes, I'd like run around in my mum's high heels, but I was a normal kid, right? And I remember having to take home a letter to my parents that said I was obese, and I had to get them to explain to me what that meant. And obviously my parents didn't care. They were like, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. But ever since that day in primary school, I have worried about my weight and thought I was just too big. And I have been big all my whole life. And that's translated to a very poor relationship with my body. And when I feel rubbish about myself, the first thing I do is to commiserate by eating loads of bad food. It was always, I've always felt really, I don't want to say the word, but I've always felt very, very ugly and very unattractive, and probably unlovable, more with my size than anything. So a big personality happened. And, I think, growing up gay in a very countryside where there, it's very hard to find other gay people. Especially before the internet. I am a millennial. I'm nearly 40. I'm 40 this year. Being a big fat person was easier to get bullied about than being gay. So that was essentially my life, and that stuff never really leaves you. It never has left me. So yeah, it followed me all through school. I was always the biggest person in the friend group, that could never really get my shit together. And, I went through bouts of losing weight and putting weight back on again. And it's more, food for me is always my consolation. It's always my thing that makes me feel good about myself in the moment, but like horrendous after. So what would happen after me binge eating or anything like that would be restricting my food purely as a punitive thing to sort of punish myself. And then I'd lose weight and I'd feel good about myself, and then I'd start to feel great. So I'd eat again, and I'd eat food because I feel fantastic, and then the cycle would revolve itself over and over again. Going to uni is where I first lost serious weight. So I don't really know how much I weighed, because I know myself, and I know that I can't own scales. I can now, but back then I definitely couldn't own scales because problems would have happened, and I know that would have happened. But through uni, I was a vegetarian, and this is when you couldn't really get corn. Like, it was hard to find good vegetarian food, so I just didn't eat much. Plus, I could not afford it, or at least I could afford it, but I would rather spend my money on going out drinking with friends. So I lost some serious weight while at uni. I think it's not healthy, and never do this, but food for me was like secondary. So I need to cough, sorry. That was disgusting, sorry. Food for me was secondary during uni. So this is what I would do. So let's say, for instance, I gave myself £30 to live on for the week. £29 of that would go out drinking. And it was cheaper to drink back then, especially when you had friends who worked in bars and they'd slip you free drinks all the time. But I'd spend £3 on food, because in Poundland, you could get a pack of 7 cuppa soups. And I'd have one for breakfast, one for lunch, one for dinner. And that's what I'd eat for months on end. Obviously, never passed a hard stall ever, but that's what I lived on. I lost some serious weight. I remember my brother being really worried about me, but I felt absolutely fantastic. But, you know, as uni finishes, you get a job, you start earning good money, and, you know, I just was back to my normal weight, and feeling gross about myself. Through uni, because I went to uni in Southampton, through uni I met my first boyfriend. We were together like 7 years, and I was obsessed with that man. He was like the first person I ever fell in love with. I was just absolutely obsessed, but ultimately he was not good for me in a real serious way. So after uni, we moved to London together with another couple of friends, and they split up, but we stayed together, and we ended up living together, just the two of us. And I noticed him like pulling away. I sort of felt like the relationship was ending, but I will do anything to save this relationship, because I am like obsessed with this man. And I remember like initiating intimacy with him, and he would tell me that I've just put on too much weight and he doesn't find me attractive anymore. And I felt for a long time that that's why we broke up. I remember him like tutting and going, oh dear, like when we'd go shopping with each other and I'd pick up a 2XL. And I wasn't ever a 2XL. I think I bought a 2XL for a like a bed shirt or something to wear in bed that's like big and whatever. But obviously an XL was probably a bit tight for me. But I felt disgusting all the time, really unlovable, really, really foul. Like that man, while I was obsessed with him and I completely loved him, he was not good for me. I think, you know, I was with him from 21 to 27. Those are like your sexiest years, where you are looking your absolute best and you're a grown up and you've got your own money and you're supposed to really be having your life together. I felt the most repulsive back then, and that was because of him, but like I can't put it all on him. Like, yes, he did say and do some horrible things, but it was more about like nobody could ever treat me worse than I was treating myself. Like every time he'd say something like mean to me like that, I wouldn't think, oh, this guy ain't right for me, I need to get rid of him or whatever, or I need to say something to him. I'd be like, yeah, he's right, let me starve myself for X amount of time and stuff like that. So yeah, and obviously, you know, that relationship ended. I ended up back in Southampton. I went on a big diet to try and, you know, make my ex regret ever leaving me, and I felt great. I wasn't doing a diet in a proper way. I was just not eating much, and it was kind of like binge and fast, and it worked for me. Probably because I was so young, like it wouldn't work for me now, but it was all binge and fast. I felt great. I think I ended up in a large shirt, so I never got small, or anything like that. But that's what happened when I lived in Southampton. In Southampton is where I met Jake. Now, me and Jake aren't together anymore, but we were together for 8 years, and our relationship was and still is, even though we're not together, such a loving relationship. He's my biggest cheerleader, he's my biggest supporter, and he never made me feel unwanted, unloved, or gross ever. We did slim fast together. Yeah, we did that. We did Weight Watchers together. We did Slimming World together. We did all of these things and lost weight and put on weight, and we both had similar relationships with food. And I never once found him unattractive, and he swears to me he never once found me unattractive. We just became best friends. We just became brothers, and it was very natural, and it was okay. And we are still in each other's lives now, even though he lives in Australia. So, that's the crux of that. But like, he never made me feel horrible, but I still spoke to myself really, really poorly. So yeah, I think, that's sort of like the timeline up to about when I met you lot. So Jake was a big supporter of me doing something on the side. He didn't mind me sharing our financials or anything like that. So I did YouTube, and I met all of you. And it's one of the best things that has ever happened to me. I've always been really, really upfront and honest about my budget and stuff like that. And it's turned into a business. And it means that, when I lost my job at the supermarket, it means that I can do this full time, and it's not a demanding job. I can focus on other stuff as well, and passion projects and stuff like that. And I feel so unbelievably, I'm just humbled by it every time I think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to say, oh, I'm full-time content creation, full-time Etsy store, but I am. It's my only job, but I don't do it full-time. Certainly not. I do not work a long week like I used to, and I'm so grateful and so thankful for that. But what was my point? So yeah, when I stopped working at the supermarket and I started working for myself, my job all of a sudden became very, very sedentary. And also, I was earning more money than I ever had in my entire life. So the combination of not moving very much and eating a lot of food, like a lot more, and like a lot of Red Bull, like, let's be honest, beers with friends, stuff like that. It got to a point where I was the fattest I had ever been in my life, and I didn't realise. A couple things happened to me that probably should have shook me awake, but I think, when you're really happy and something's going really, really well for you, like my business and YouTube, you don't see everything. So do you remember when I went on holiday in Cyprus? I believe Jake and I weren't together. It wasn't Cyprus. It was Spain. It was Benidorm, right? So yeah, Jake and I weren't together. We took my nieces and nephews to a water park, and like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, let me hide my body. Like, I don't really care, because my body is my body, and if someone wants to sleep with me or someone wants to be my boyfriend, what they think about my body is absolutely none of my business. And I wouldn't be with someone who didn't find me attractive. Do you know what I mean? It's none of my business. I don't need to think about what people think about me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, no one can think worse about me than I do about myself. That's what I've learned. So anyway, we went to this water park, and we queued up for an hour. They were really excited to go on this water slide. And then they weighed me and Jake, and both of us, we couldn't have even each of us individually were far too heavy. So after waiting an hour, we really disappointed these kids who like were 18, 16 and 14 or something. Like, I just felt like, what a walrus. Do you know what I mean? Like, how disappointing that I'm just too fat to treat my kid. And it was one ride, do you know what I mean? It's like really, really small. About 6 months later, I sat on a chair, like a camping chair, and I split it, and it was embarrassing. And then about 6 months later, I sat on a proper chair, like an actual chair in a pub, and I broke the leg. And that was like, fuck. fuck, I've got to do something now. And you know, what I would typically do, what old Ira would have done, would be punitive, deprivation of food, not take care of myself, like limit myself to like 500 calories a day, sit in my room all day because you've got no energy to do anything. Like that would have been what I've done. And I was like, I need to break this cycle. I need to start thinking better about myself. I need to change this once and for all, because this is not my first rodeo. I have done this too many times. Like I have, you know, lost a load of weight, or not, you know, lost a load of weight until I got to what I would consider a normal, maybe a bit bigger than normal physique, but a physique that I'm relatively happy with. Like I don't talk about myself like badly anymore, and then it ends and I go right back up again because something upset me or someone said something to me or something like that. So I wanted to end the cycle. I wanted to do something once and for all that would change my life. And I found the gym, and I've never been an active person. I was born with a hole in my heart, a heart murmur. And I used to have to go for checkups every 6 months. That turned into every year. Then it turned into every 2 years until I went when I was like 22. And I went for a checkup, and they're like, it was a pinprick when you were born. Now I can't find it. Don't come back anymore. Like, it's absolutely fine. So I used to get away with physical activity in school by saying, oh, I've got a heart murmur, I can't do it. So really, like, I've never done anything. So I started going to the gym November last year. At that point, I was 23 stone. Let me just quickly Google that while I talk to you, because that is the biggest I have ever been. 23 stone in libs. 23 stone in pounds is 322 pounds. So 322 pounds in kilos, 322 is 146 kilos. So, and you know, one of my most embarrassing videos that I've got is like a Pack With Me live. I'm wearing this like beige hoodie that's a 2XL, and it looks skin tight. But I've still got that video up. Like, it is what it is. But I started going to the gym just more as I can't conquer this food situation. I can't conquer food. Like, I'm always going to binge. I'm always going to eat bad things for myself, but I can control myself for the most part. So to counteract that, let me go to the gym. And I really wanted to focus on like non-cardio stuff, because what I didn't want to do is turn something that I was really nervous about into, again, something punitive where I'm disciplining myself or flagellating myself for eating a bad meal or something. So I started doing like weights and stuff like that. And I'd make sure that I would go late at night. And do you remember, I was really reluctant to tell you that I was going to the gym, like in terms of my budget, because I have to tell you everything that's in my budget, right? I was really reluctant to tell you that. So I wanted to go to the gym, and I started going to the gym, and I was doing machines. And then I was like, I really want to do something, because none of it's fun, right? I want to try something that I want to enjoy. I want to become good at something, and lifting weights is not necessarily something that I want to be good at. Let me try running, because a friend of mine had previously done Couch to 5K, and they ran a 5K at the end of it. And I was like, I really, really would like to do that. So I started doing Couch to 5K, and that changed my life. It really did. I have a hobby outside of like sitting down and being creative. I never thought I'd be the person that had an active hobby. And trust me, at the most 9 times out of 10, I do not enjoy running, but I do enjoy it. It's the hardest thing to describe. It's hard. every single time I run, it's difficult. It never, ever, ever gets easier. But it's also wicked. It's incredible what I can do with my body. And I am so beginner. Like, every time I run, I go a little bit further or a little bit faster. The fact that this morning I ran my PB on a park run, it makes me feel so proud of myself. So I've been running exclusively at the gym and out in the real world as well. And I am going to start like going back to weights again. I definitely am. But that was changing my life, and it made me feel really good. And, a lot of people noticed and a lot of people said, and I tried to just skip over it because it made me feel uncomfortable because, the real thing was I didn't want people to notice my weight loss through running and going to the gym, because in my head, I had something telling me it's all going to come back on, and people are going to say, oh, what a shame, because, I've got a very thick skin, right? And for 99% of the comments that I get on, Budget with Ira, Don't Trust Ira, 99% of the comments are just so warm and so lovely and so kind and so positive. But if I've spent the morning looking at myself with my top off in the mirror and telling myself that I'm ugly and fat, and then I go and check my comments and someone says, oh, Ira's put on a bit timber, it is devastating. Like, you can call me the F slur till you're blue in the face. It does nothing to me. I don't care about people's homophobia. That, sometimes I get transphobic stuff. People assume, I don't know, that I'm trying to be a woman. I don't know why, but I get a lot of that a lot of the time, and I just delete it and move on. But if someone says, oh, you put on a little bit timber, or they'll comment, someone said once, oh, you got such a big studio now, you're going to lose so much weight walking up and down it. And I was like, and it just got me. Do you know what I mean? So it just fulfills a cycle, and I feel crap about myself, so I go and eat. Do you know what I mean? Where was I? Anyway, so yeah, I lost weight. I tried to not address it. And I did lose weight, and it stalled, and I stopped losing weight. And, I don't hold my self-worth in my weight, but I was like, oh, I'm working really hard on myself, and I'm feeling really, really good every day, but the results aren't showing in the mirror. So I'm going to start going back to Slimming World. So I started going back to Slimming World. It was a once a week thing because I didn't want to have scales at home. So it was like a weight thing. I think while I was with Slimming World, I lost, a couple of stone, but something really bad happened, which makes me want to cry. I was so disappointed. It was like such a warm, welcoming group of people. The lady who ran it, she seemed really, really lovely, and just so kind. And I made friends with this lovely old lady. I'd sit next to her every week, and it was just it was lovely. And yeah, so I didn't get on with the plan. I thought the plan was absolute bullshit. Like, let's be honest. Like, you can buy a bag of Slimming World chips and eat as many as you want, and it's free. But if you have a mashed banana, that's like a quarter of your daily allowance. Like, it's a bizarrest thing. But I went for the community, and I went for being weighed. And for a while, I was stalled. I didn't lose weight for a long time. And do you remember? I got really, really poorly after after a tattoo. I went round to my friend's house who has kids, and her kid had just got over a sickness bug. And I was like, don't worry about that. I've got a really strong stomach. I'll be absolutely fine. And you know what? They're like, my nephews and nieces, even though they're not real nephews and nieces, they are real nephews and nieces. As soon as I walk through that door, it's Uncle Ira, and they're climbing all over you. They just want to show you everything and just be in your face. Do you know what I mean? And so he was climbing all over me, and the next day I was just vomiting for days. It was like 3 days of vomiting. I felt repugnant. And I went Now, I couldn't eat, obviously. I was living off Ribena and water just to, I'd just drink Ribena and then I'd throw up, and then I'd just drink water and throw up. So just so that it's different flavour each time. Do you know what I mean? Just to spice it up a little bit. But anyway, I went back and weighed, and that week I lost 8.5 pounds. And she was like, "What did you do last week?" And I was like, "Oh, I got a sickness bug." And she said, "Well done." And I was like, "No, not coming back here ever again." And I think it was like a slip of the tongue. I don't even think she listened to what I said, because who in their right mind would say, "Well done"? But that was it. I was like, why am I paying £6 a week, lying to people on YouTube about it, because I did not want you all to know that I was going to Slimming World. Why am I paying £6 a week to weigh myself? I'm just going to buy some bloody scales and just do it. And I was really reluctant to do it. I didn't want to be that type of person that would weigh myself every single day and become obsessive about it. So I just didn't. And it took a while. And I think I sort of kept the weight off, but I knew I was at a maintenance phase. I know I was eating too much, but I was running so often and walking so often that my fitness was improving and I was feeling better about myself and all of that. So I thought, if I'm this weight for the rest of my life, fine. But I still had that niggly feeling of, oh, you're gross, oh, you're disgusting, oh, you're fat. And it's really hard to talk about that and say that to yourself. But it's, I'm being really honest and vulnerable and like raw with you. So that's the way I spoke about myself. And I was like heavy dieting and trying to just only choose good things and not eat too much. And then I went on holiday to Vegas, and that was my most recent one. So I went to Vegas, and I went with my brother and my Kyla and their daughter and her boyfriend, and then Kyla's cousin and his wife. Now, Kyla's cousin's wife, she's one of the kindest people I have ever met in my life. She's just one of those people that is just so beyond lovely, like would give you the shirt off her back. Just so unbelievably lovely. Just lovely. Like, she's a hairdresser, so Max gets his hair cut with her every month or so, and she won't charge him. So you have to force money into a tip jar sort of thing. But yeah, she's absolutely lovely. And we went on holiday in Vegas, and I was really trying to be good. And I was like, oh, am I really enjoying this whole America experience if I'm not eating ridiculous? So I was like, do you know what? This week, I will eat whatever I want and I will make it up. Story of my life, right? I'll eat too much and then destroy myself for a month afterwards, trying to lose the weight that I put on. But anyway, something happened to me on that holiday which really, really changed my outlook. So this lovely woman, Deb, her name is, she said something that was just off mark, just off the cuff is what I mean, that probably will stay with me for the rest of my life. And she is a very slim woman. She is absolutely stunning. And we would just walk in and she looked down at herself and she goes, "Oh, I can't eat that, I'm too fat." And I was like, this woman is in her 60s and she's still talking to herself like that. Does this never go away? And I had a realization that's like, I cannot have this for the rest of my life. I cannot speak to myself like this forever. I cannot live like this, because it cannot be the main thing that I think about. I can't think of myself as ugly, as unlovable, as too fat to be around people. I can't be the fattest person in the room all the time. I just can't. I can't do this anymore. It's exhausting. I've done this for 39 years. It's exhausting. I need to do something that is more than changing my life with this fitness of running. I need to do something that is going to fundamentally change my relationship with food. And I had read up about something, and this is the thing that I'm really reluctant to talk to you about, because a lot of people have a lot of opinions about what I'm going to talk to you about. But I made the decision to start taking Mounjaro. So if you are in America, Mounjaro is tirzepatide, which is a GLP-1 drug. It's one of those ones that it's essentially a Ozempic, and it's available in the UK as well. So before you judge me, or before you change your opinion about me or whatever, I researched the fuck out of this. I really did. I read testimonials. I looked at papers. I did so much because I don't want to ruin my body, right? So I think I watched YouTube videos and TikToks of people that are having a great time with it, and also people that are having a really, really bad time with it as well. Because, side effects and serious side effects are a worry. Do you know what I mean? I think the biggest thing that I was concerned about is, people go on this, they lose weight through not doing much, being really honest, through not doing much, and then they get to their goal weight, and then they come off it, and then they put the weight on again, just like a normal diet. And I really, really had to understand what my issue was. And I think a lot of my binging is around thoughts and feelings, but binging hadn't really happened in pretty much since the day I went to the gym, because the day I went to the gym is the day that my mental health really, really turned around. And I'm talking about general mental health. So not mental health where I look at the mirror and tell myself I'm fat and disgusting. The mental health where I genuinely feel like a functional person, like I can get out of bed sort of situation. I've not had you've seen me, if you've been around here long enough, you've seen me go through smaller, albeit smaller, bouts of depression. And it has been something that's plagued me my whole life. But ever since I've gone to the gym, I've felt like the best version of myself. And that's being really, really honest. And I think exercise really does something scientifically endorphin-wise to you. And that's why I don't skip a run. That's why I don't skip a walk, because I don't want to go back to feeling like that. And if I ever did, it'd be fine. But because that's normal. That's how my brain works. But since November, not felt crap about myself. What the fuck? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I did a ton of research, and, it's not easily available on the NHS. I went to the NHS. I managed to get an appointment with my GP, and she's really lovely. I really like her. I got an appointment with her about something else, just like a little check-up-y MOT sort of thing. And then I was like, I want to start doing this, start doing Mounjaro or Ozempic. And I was like, I know I'm not on any medication or anything like that. Do you think it's something that is reasonable? And she was like, well, I am your GP. And she was like, why on earth would I ever tell you to not do something that is going to make you healthier? But she was like, I do have to warn you that there can be severe side effects. And she gave me a leaflet. She says, you need to look out for these. And me being me, I was like, okay, so let's start this then. She's like, no. Let's not be silly. It's really hard to get on the NHS. You have to be a really considerable BMI. So you need to be above 40. And I wasn't at that time. And I think that's more because I'm tall. But I was 21 stone at that point. So through running, I'd lost 2 stone. So it's considerable. It's a lot, right? And 2 stone is, whenever I say stone in America, times it by 14. And that's what it is. So it'd be 28 pounds, right? So she was like, no, you have to go private. And I was like, oh, bugger, how much is this going to cost? And I was, thinking it was going to be about £1,000 a month, because that's how much Kelly Osbourne pays for Ozempic. That was my only sort of frame for it. And then I found there's loads and loads of companies. So there's a lot of companies that do it. There's one called MedExpress that's relatively cheap. And I ultimately settled on a company called Voy, because Voy have real coaches that talk to you and help you out and stuff like that. And also the onboarding process was a lot more strenuous. You had to send photos. They had to speak to my GP. They had to have like accurate weighing, like really good stuff like that before they'd even consider me. And the reason why I went for Voy, because they're not the cheapest, but the reason why I went for them is because they really valued mental health over anything. So their coaches are better at dealing with feelings of low self-worth and stuff like that. So they're not counselors by any means. They are weight loss coaches, which they're essentially pharmacists that are really, really good at coaching you if you hit plateaus, or if you're doing well, or if you're not doing so well, helping you with side effects. But they really value and talk about your mental health more than anything. So I was like, sold, get me in. And it was not easy to get on. And like the other ones, they're like, send a photo, give us the money. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, I feel safer with Voy. And I don't want to use this as a sort of a testimonial, because I have had side effects on Mounjaro, but it is one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I think there are 3 things I've done in my life that are four things I've done in my life that have given me lasting change, that when I'm on my deathbed, I can turn around and be really, really proud of. Number 1 is going to uni. Number 2 is starting this community and starting this YouTube channel. Number 3 would be starting running. And number 4 would be finding Mounjaro. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but let me tell you why. Because I'm definitely an advocate of Mounjaro isn't for everyone. Some people get side effects so bad that it's not worth it. Some people join it for the wrong reasons. But for some people, Mounjaro is 100% the right thing for them. So the reason why I did is because, along with those feelings of self-worth, I can't be loved because I'm too fat, was this thing called food noise. So I'd wake up and I'd think about my next meal instantly. I would be eating breakfast, thinking about what am I going to have for lunch. I'll be eating dinner and I'll be thinking about, I'm meeting up with my friend on the weekend. I wonder what we're going to eat. Do you know what I mean? Constantly. So what Mounjaro does, or probably better to say what Mounjaro has done for me, because it feels different for different people, right? What Mounjaro has done for me is it has stopped this thing called food noise, which means that I do not think about food until mealtime. And when it is mealtime, I think, and I don't think, I could murder a burger, or I could eat this bloody pizza or whatever. I go, what's the best thing for me to eat right now? Because I can only manage like a smaller meal, and I need to get protein, or I need to get these macronutrients or whatever. I've got a run tomorrow, so I need to make sure that I prioritize carbs or whatever. So I'm really careful about what I eat, and it's fun, and I enjoy food, and I don't overeat ever. Obviously I still have my magnums. Obviously I'm obsessed with magnums, but that's my treat. And if it's a daily treat, fuck it, I don't give a fuck. I'm losing weight. Do you know what I mean? So it has turned off food noise. So I don't think about food at all anymore. So it's left my brain free. And it has been one of the most freeing experiences of my life. Because it frees up so much space. I'm not and like I don't know how to articulate this to someone who has a healthy relationship with food, who is at a good weight. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how to articulate this, but my thoughts were plagued by food. What my next meal is, what am I going to eat? constantly. And then after I ate, it's, you fat fucker, can't believe you've done that. What a gluttonous pig you are. And then it's, my next meal. And then going to bed hungry every night, even though you've had dinner and snacks and meals. And, it's the last thing you think about at night, and it's first thing you think about in the morning. So there's guilt surrounded by that as well. So I don't know how to describe when somebody or something takes that away from you, how much space is left to go, I feel like me. And I really, really hope you've seen the change in my attitude, my behavior, my demeanor. Like, everything is just so much lighter. Like, I'm not beating myself up about stuff. Like, the business is quiet. Normally I would be freaking the fuck out. But right now I'm like, I get to live my life. Like, do you know what I mean? So it has been the most life-changing thing for me. And I would never recommend someone to take Mounjaro, but I would recommend me to take it because it has been one of the best things for me. Now, will I be on this thing for the rest of my life? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't feel like I'm putting poison into my body. I feel like I'm giving myself something that allows me to feel like me. And maybe one day doses will change and I'll go on to something smaller, just something that I've got, just something to get rid of the food noise or dampen it down a little bit. But right now I'm at the start of a journey which is completely life-changing for me. So, for a little bit of context, I'm still on the smallest amount. I've been on it for 2 months and it is starting to wear off. So I am feeling what it feels like without it. And already I know that I'm not ready to come off it, but also I have good willpower to not binge and to not treat my body like crap anymore. So it's going to be a long journey. It's going to be at least a year until I'm satisfied with how I feel about myself and food and stuff like that. But I'm on that journey and I'm ready to put that effort in. Do you know what I mean? So the problem has never been food. It's about how I treat myself. And I refuse to be a 70-year-old that hates my body. I refuse. It's not happening to me. So that's sort of where I'm at. So I just kind of wanted you to understand that. But there is a big reason, and I'm sure you've asked the question in your head already about why on earth am I telling you this? Number one, I have a budget channel where I share where I'm spending my money. And for the last 2 months, I ain't told you shit about where £100+ is going, because it's as much as it's as much as another council tax. Do you know what I mean? So I haven't told you about this, and I'm not going to. It's not going to feature on Budget with Ira. So I want you to know, as patrons and 4 weeks later as Don't Trust Ira people, I want you to know that I am paying for it, but I'm purposely removing that budget, that 100 and something pounds from my income, because I don't want people to ask me about it. I don't want to talk about it because Budget with Ira is not the place for it. And I know it sounds like I'm deceiving you. And I know it sounds like, I know it, but when there's something that I don't want to talk, like, let's be honest, it's a channel, I make it for you, but it's also for me. It's my self-care, it's my creative outlet, right? It's also for me. So when I smoked cigarettes, I hid that from you. I called it habits. When I was going to the gym, I hid that from you. And with Mounjaro, I will not hide that from you, but I will hide it from everybody else, because I just don't want to open up the floodgates of, oh, he's put on a little bit of timber, or, oh, he's looking really skinny. I just don't want to have that dialogue on that channel, because that's not what it's about for me. And, my opinion might change one day, but I don't want you to think that okay, listen to this. This is going to be a really confusing sentence that I'm about to say. I don't want you to think that I have purposely hidden something from you, but at the same time, I have purposely hidden something from you. So how do I explain that? So I don't want you to think poorly of me because I wanted to have a bit of privacy, but I still want to have that privacy on Don't Trust Ira, because I don't want Don't Trust Ira to be flooded with, tell me about your Mounjaro journey, like all of this stuff. So yes, I've hidden that from you and I will continue to hide that from you, but like at least this sort of bit of exposure will help, because it's a big part of my budget. Like when I earn £1,700 and I need to spend 160 odd quid of that, like nearly 10% of it onto something like that, it's a big deal, right? So I'm omitting a big part of my budget, but it's because I don't want to talk to anyone about it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want it to invite compliments, because the way my brain works, a compliment is the in opposite world. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want it to invite critique, because being on Mounjaro, for some reason, is so... A lot of people, and I have to be very honest, mostly skinny people who have never had a problem with food, really have a problem with it. And their biggest critique is, well, when you come off it, you're going to put the weight on again. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to change my fucking life. I'm trying to change my relationship with food. And this is really helping me. And if I do put on weight again, I'll fucking go back on it. Watch me, bitch. Do you know what I mean? So there's that. So yes, I've hidden that. I will continue to hide it, but at least I'm kind of lifting up, opening the blinds a little bit for you to take a look in, so that you can understand that, like, yes, I struggle and I'm doing this and it's one of the best things I've ever done. Now, would it be the best thing for everybody? I don't know. You have to do your own research. You have to look at it objectively. You have to see what's the right thing for you. But for me, it is fundamental, and I'm so glad that I did it. So there's that bit that I hid for you. There's also another part of this that I have hidden from you as well. And it's embarrassing. But I got to tell you. So, because eventually it will come out. So I did set up a separate YouTube channel. And this is going to really contradict what I just said to you, right? I set up a separate YouTube channel that is about my weight loss, fitness, and my journey with Mounjaro. So this is a channel called Ira Gets It Together. It is not performing well, and I couldn't give a fuck, because this channel, at the moment, I'm sharing like my weekly update with Mounjaro, how much I've lost that week, what I've been doing, what I've been eating, and stuff like that, because it feels like the appropriate venue to talk about this stuff. I do not have anybody that I can talk to about this stuff, and it kind of spills out of me. I don't have friends on it, or friends that will admit that they're on it. I don't have family members. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got no one to talk to about this. So I want to get something out creatively that is so separate from what I do already. And like, I have to be really honest with you, these are low effort videos. Like, they are not the production what Budget with Ira is. They are low effort. They are pure chat. No music in the background or anything like that. But I share what my week was like. And, I want to tell you, because I don't want you to stumble across it one day and think poorly of me because I've hidden something from you. So if you are interested in that, you're welcome to go and subscribe. You're welcome to watch all the videos. There's like 8 videos up there at this point. You're welcome to. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm very, very honest with like what I eat, how I exercise, but I'm not as honest as I was just now. We're talking to you about how I feel about myself and my body, but it's more about how much weight am I losing on a weekly basis. So yeah, that's the other thing as well. So you're welcome to go and look at that if you want to. And you're welcome to subscribe. I update weekly, and it's just another, it's one of those things that now, like, it's just one of those things that I have, like, if I am enjoying something, I need to like have a creative outlet on it. Like when I was younger, if I was really into a band, I'd do fan art. Like if I'm really into a show, I would write like stories about it. Like I when I'm into something and I care about something, I need to have a creative outlet. So making a 10-minute video every week it's really cathartic for me. So yeah, it's called Ira Gets It Together. I will link it. What I'll do for this video, and what I'll do for this video is I will link the channel, and I will also do a link for the Mounjaro company I'm using, just because if you are in the research phase or you want to know more about it, that's a link that if you signed up you get some money off. I think I would as well, but that's not the point of it, right? But like if you are in that space where you'd like to, it's there, but I only do that for you to do research on, right? It's not about me getting money off or anything like that. But yeah, I think if there are any questions, please let me know in the comments. Like, I trust that you will be respectful with my thoughts and feelings about this as well. I know that none of you are going to go in the comments and say what I think you are doing is a bad thing, because I would never do that to someone unless they were curb stomping babies. Do you know what I mean? Like let people live their lives. Like, trust me, I am very poor health adverse. I will go out of my way to not like feel poorly. So I have done significant research on making sure that I'm going to be okay on this, and I am satisfied that, for me at least, this is the correct thing to do, at least for now. So yeah, I have spoke to you for an hour and 1 minute about this, and as you can probably tell, it has been something that has been on the edge of my tongue for a very, very long time. So thank you for sitting here with me, and talking and just listening to me talk about, like, I've been very vulnerable with you today, and I hope you liked it. If there's any sort of questions or any comments, please let me know on Patreon or on Don't Trust Ira. And yeah, so that's that. So what do I need to say before I go? Oh yeah, I'm running my 10K in less than a week now. So if you haven't yet donated, go ahead and donate. Don't be rude. Don't be shady. And I guess that's it. So just thanks for letting me prattle on. I appreciate you. And yeah, thanks. All right, I'll see you next week, bestie.